Hey everybody, Paul Dunn here. Thanks for jumping on this call with us. If you are here to learn about Google Pay-Per-Click, then you are in the right spot. I've got a very, very special guest with us. We'll be starting here in about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. I've got about 2 minutes till right now, but I've got Bob, I've got Rachel. And so let me ask you, so I see a bunch of very familiar names there. I see Karen, Natasha, Paul. Hey, with a name like Paul, I know it's somebody that I can trust. Brett, how's it doing, Brett? Brett and I were talking this morning. Charlotte, Dan, David, Diana, Don. Holy cow, got a good showing today. So punch in the chat box real quick. What is the biggest struggle that you're facing right now? We have no struggles. Everything is awesome, right? No, I guess let me ask you real quick. Can you see my screen? You should see my title there. You should see Rachel and her wonderful family along with the Superman.
You're not sharing, Paul.
I'm not sharing. Okay.
Nope.
I guess I better share my screen.
The other thing, folks, let me give you a full disclosure real quick. We invited two groups of people to this. One, we invited our entire EXP RevShare team. B, we invited people who are not necessarily part of that, but have been our good customers for years now. And so we understand that, lead generation is a big deal.
Right.
And because you are our customers, we want to invite you in and be able to take and see these kinds of things. And anything that we do to educate and teach, we always think you should be a part of it. So we got two different groups of people. So you may hear us refer to our EXP team or something like that back and forth. If you're not part of that, don't sweat it. Just learn from what this young lady is going to teach you because, well, if you can see the screen, how does this woman who has 7 children, homeschools them, do $25 million in a horrible market? And she's going to talk about that process so that you can see that and understand how you build systems into your business. Because I see getting more leads, keeping my pipeline full, Zillow, all those things, those are an issue. And so today when we're done, you're going to see how this young lady has taken and solved that problem for her business and how she now helps other agents do the same thing. So there you go. So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you, Paul and Rachel, just go, man.
And so I met Rachel online through Facebook, and she's a PPC expert. She runs her entire business off of doing Google paid ads. And so I thought it was important for us to introduce her both to the RevShare team and to our best customers for the high-tech Video Pro system. So Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? How did you get into PPC? How did you discover this?
So I think first things first is, back in 2011, our daughter, that was the cute little one in the pink in the middle face, her appendix burst. And we went and saw 5 different doctors who told us that she had a viral flu and sent us home. And so, long story short, she nearly died. And we spent 33 days in the Children's Hospital in Calgary, and life got very real. It was so easy in that time to see what is really important in this life. And so Clint, my husband, was finishing concrete at that time, and we decided that, forget this. Our kids are the most important thing. We don't want you out finishing concrete all day. We need to double down on real estate. And at that time, I was searching frantically for leads, harassing friends and family members for referrals and doing all that type of stuff. And we knew that we needed to find something that was more secure. We needed secure paychecks coming in. We had 4 kids at that time. We started having radical thoughts like, okay, our kids are the center of our lives. Why not have a whole bunch of them? Let's pursue joy. So we decided to have a bunch of 4 kids. We knew we had to perform, and we knew we had to have a better system than just constantly asking friends and family and this type of thing. So we pursued online lead generation. I had learned a bit about it from a successful realtor in Calgary, and so we were buying the out-of-the-box PPC from the web provider that we were with, and the service and quality was okay, and we began to be able to close leads at a good rate, and income became reliable. And this went on for years until I think roughly 2016, when prices just started increasing and climbing, and it wasn't just the management fees that kept going up, and it was also that the cost per lead kept going up. And it boggled my mind that I would call in and say, like, it's not okay that the leads are $29 a lead. That's not profitable. And that the quality is going down. And I never could speak to my PPC specialist, or I would be able to speak to my PPC specialist, and they were getting younger and younger and less trained and educated. There's absolutely no realtors running the PPC. These were young kids, you know, of questionable education. I don't know what right they had to be running PPC. But anyways, I mean, I think they were doing a copy-paste campaign. You know, we'd fill out our forms for where we wanted our stuff to go, but there was no ingenuity going into how these campaigns were being created. And so we left in a half looking for brighter horizons. And long story short, we flushed about $30,000 down the drain, believing all kinds of pitches from all kinds of different big box providers who said, we'll get you $3 to $5 a lead right from the beginning. And then, of course, you know, you go and it's terrible numbers. It's $30 a lead, it's $20 a lead, it's $25 a lead. There's no signs of it going down, no quality in there. And so we wasted a ton of money trying absolutely everything in the book. And eventually what happened is Clint dropped his, you know, he kept his license, but he stopped selling real estate. And he said, that's it. We need to take charge of this because nobody cares about the cost and quality as much as us. You know, it seems that the general climate out there is that people believe that whatever, real estate agents make money. They've got the money. They're not going to care. And you know what? I'm Dutch. I care. I did not like the high numbers. I wanted them to come down, and I wanted to see higher quality and higher close rates. So my husband, Clint, has always been excellent with computers. It's always been a strong suit of his. He went into it. He spent months. We wasted our own money doing different tests and trials and being able to compare to previous numbers. And long story short, we found out that Clint was a bit of a savant in this area. And our business started doing extremely well. And after it was for, you know, quite some time, we realized, we're like, you know what, I think we have a business. Because we searched for people like us everywhere and we couldn't find them. We paid a ton of people and there was nobody who had this type of experience, nobody who cared as much as we did about cost and quality. Absolutely nobody who spoke our language as actual realtors, successful realtors in the field. So I am a top producing realtor at my firm. So I'm the #1 Calgary and area agent out of 100 agents at my firm. And that's in large part due to Clint and what he's been able to do for us online.
Oh, awesome. Hey, and I want to throw in here real quick, guys, by the way, I know that the audio isn't perfect from Rachel's microphone, but it's as good as we're going to be able to get it. And also that this is kind of impromptu. So we are going to, we've got a rough outline here, but we will be answering questions. So if you do have some questions, make sure that you put them in the chat box, and I'll be sure and monitor those as we move along. So the one thing that we do all understand is that in this real estate game, if you've got no leads, you've got no closings. And you guys all know me. I run a lot of Facebook ads, we do a lot of Instagram ads, and we know that lead generation is simply just math. But a lot of guys make some mistakes, quite a few mistakes. So I want to ask Rachel real quick. Whoops, I think I went too far real quick. Is that the leads, if you understand the math, it makes your income more reliable and more predictable. And so Rachel actually has this little chart that kind of outlines how the whole PPC works. So Rachel, do you want to explain this real quick?
Sure. I'm just going to back up a little bit. I'm going to go back to the slide there so I can explain the math, where, you know, it says it's just math. I want to give you the math because it's really important to understand what you're investing so that we can get to the pipeline. So what you can count on, or what you should be counting on if you're making demands of your PPC provider, or even yourself if you're trying to do PPC, an excellent number for PPC would be around $7 per lead. That is an insanely good number. $10 is where we see average in a non-compete market. 15 in a highly competitive market is a good number. That's an average number. When we start seeing numbers like $20 per lead, no matter where, that's too much, in my opinion. It's an okay number to start, but it's got to come down. And so when I'm talking about leads, I will usually use a number of $10 is the average cost per lead. So if you are using a Google budget of around $1,000 a month, that's going to buy you 100 leads. Out of 100 leads, a good agent, an experienced agent, or an agent, like an owner agent who has a stake, they can expect to see about a 3% close rate. I easily close over 3%. Just because I've had a ton of experience doing it, but you can expect that if you're an owner, you're going to look at around 3%. So you can expect to see 3 sales out of 100 in a month, and that's where we come to the pipeline. So we can pop over to the pipeline.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what it looks like. And I think this is what people who are doing online lead generation need to understand. Right there in month 0, you can go ahead and click the slide there, Paul. You're going to see 3 sales. And you're going to get one. Maybe you're lucky you get one right away. But the other ones might come a little further down the line in month 9 and month 12. But if you click again, you'll see you'll go into month 2. And there you go, 3 more sales. And maybe you get one in 6, 12, and 18. And if you click again, you're in month 3. And there you go, another sale coming up. And you can see, you can just go right through to 10 now, Paul, and see how the progression works. But you can look and see that most of the sales in online lead generation it's not even getting serious until month 6. And so most people give up, and they give up because up until month 6, they're going, I'm not closing any sales. And what's worse is they don't have the follow-up. They only take the low-hanging fruit. And so they'll invest a lot of money, but they won't see the fruit until month 6, and they don't have the ability to do the follow-up required to close all of the sales that are far out. Okay, so what are the biggest mistakes that agents make in lead generation? Absolutely, every person in the world is going to tell you this. The biggest problem is follow-up. Most agents do not know how to do follow-up. They don't have the skills and the tools to do proper inside sales, to actually get more than just the low-hanging fruit, to actually get the people that are 9 and 12 months out. Even if they're on their game and they're making the calls, they don't have the scripts, they don't have the ability to qualify people, to get them to in-person appointments, and they just don't stick it out. The other issue is that once you start to get busy with making all those calls, you're also starting to get busy with showings, and listing appointments, and you reach a breaking point where you go, I can't actually make all of the calls I need to make to get every single one of these sales in the pipeline and show houses. It becomes physically impossible. And so what slides? It's always the follow-up that slides, and you end up doing the showings, taking the listing appointments, doing all the business, but you've dropped the ball and lost the next 3 to 6 months of leads that could have been put in the pipeline. So probably I'd say follow-up is the first. Probably the next would be diversification. One of the things that we do is we actually mine out not just Google, but Bing and Yahoo as well. We don't give them a huge amount of budget, but we do give them some, because our goal is always to lower cost and increase quality. So diversification, Facebook leads are good to sprinkle in there. They're a lower cost, but they don't close as quickly often. And so I like to sprinkle some Facebook ads after we've had three months of successful PPC. So I'd say that's some of the biggest mistakes.
Okay.
So you're basically talking about retargeting then in Facebook, Rachel?
Yeah, so just because of the length of time that I've seen Facebook ads take, they often close at between 6 to 18 months.
Right.
I find that I like to take 3 months, get PPC well underway, and then because we can usually get Facebook leads between $3 and $5, even though they aren't as high of quality and they close a little later on, they're still good to get the overall cost per lead down. And yes, Facebook retargeting is part of that process.
Right. So just so you know, guys, Michelle's closing 5 trades. She's got 5 in escrow right now. 3 of them were from Facebook leads that were between 12 and 18 months ago.
Yeah,
amazing.
And
that's why the follow-up is so important.
And we've got 3 that are from 12 and 18 months ago right now from Facebook. And then there's another 2 from Instagram going on.
And so in my opinion, as I travel around and talk and do the things that I do, what I find is a follow-up was, oh, they're not ready to buy right now. Well, the very nature of it doesn't dictate that they will. But if you're not following up, you really just threw money away, don't you think, Rachel?
I do, and one of the things that Clint and I constantly talk about, and one of the decisions that we made in 2011 was to constantly pursue the highest and best use of our time. So if I can close 3% of the leads, I can earn, in my market, $9,000 is the average commission per sale. So I can earn $27,000 a month. It is well worth it for me to pay a professional inside sales agent to make those calls. It is well worth it for me to pay a cleaner to clean my house and to fold my laundry and to do all the tasks that are below my pay grade. Highest and best use of my time is what Clint and I constantly discuss, and that's how we're able to juggle all of this.
You think?
I
always thought I worked hard, and then I met you. Was like, I feel like a schmuck.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm a good delegator.
Yeah. So.
All right.
So, guys, again, in those leads, it's that follow-up that will usually kill you. And the cool part is, at least the folks on our RevShare team, you have these tools to take and at least do email follow-ups. But as I always tell you guys, if you're not talking to them, they're going to just go away. Most people don't read their email.
It's completely true. Our ISAs do 12 touches. They do through phone, email, and text message. They do all of them. You can't have one way of follow-up because you get the millennials that want to text. And then you get the older people that want you to phone them and talk to them on the phone. And so you've got to contact in all 3 different ways, find out how they want to be contacted, if they want to be contacted, and speak to them in a way that they can hear you, and have the proper scripts, the proper handling of objections, all of that stuff in place to be able to book an in-person appointment.
The appointment's what the goal is, right, folks?
Yeah, in-person appointment is always what our ISAs are looking for. After that, our ISAs have a 7% chance or 7% close rate. So that's 7 opportunities that you have in a month to make something of it, to make a sale, to get a listing. So it's a numbers game.
Yeah, I actually talked to your ISA last week, and he's incredibly amazing. His team is very skilled on the phone. And you don't even have to mess with talking to your leads until they're ready for that appointment. Is that right, Rachel?
Yep, they do it all. So they do the initial calls, the follow-up, they develop relationships. They do those 12 touches. If they can't get a hold of the lead, they trash it. However, the example I always give is they may call a lead and that lead says, yeah, I do want to buy, but it's 9 months off. I'm waiting for an inheritance or, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So he will text message them in 3 months just to remind that lead that we're around, we're thinking of you. And then he'll text, email, phone, whatever it is in 6 months and work again on getting that appointment. So he's going to do all of the follow-up. We say it's for the future. We tried a lot of different inside sales, and we are definitely against. We had people who were first call, who basically would just contact the lead, and once they contacted them, they'd hand it over to you and give up. We found that for us and for our agents, this was not enough. In order to actually do the best with highest and best use of our time, we needed a full and complete nurture. Now, can I hire an ISA in Calgary to do this full time? Yep. And then I'm going to have to pay insurance, and I'm going to have to pay payroll tax, and I'm going to have to do follow-ups and reviews, and I'm going to have to pay 3 times what it costs for me to hire someone out of the States to do the same task and to be completely already trained, already have all the scripts in place, and already have results.
So they're using scripts that they've developed over a bunch of years then, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Proven scripts. Hey, I'm just curious here. How many of you folks have used an ISA? Just throw your hands up real quick. I'm just curious. Because I got to tell you, I don't think a lot of these folks have. I mean, honestly, we've been really good at converting leads in our business, and we have never used an ISA. So we're in the process of actually onboarding Rachel's ISA team at this current time. So I'm excited for it.
It is an absolute life changer when you realize, again, highest and best use of your time, how little it costs, because all it takes is one deal that you would drop, and because you didn't have an ISA, to pay for your ISA pretty much for the year. And so if he can get you one more deal, like, he's paid for himself.
Okay, and I just see a question here. Somebody says, what is an ISA?
An ISA is an inside sales agent. So this is a person who's professionally trained in real estate inside sales, but also my ISA is a professional using conversion and KV Core. So he can fully integrate with those backends, which is important. I mean, I could never find another inside sales agent that was willing to integrate completely with my system so that my agents and I could see what was happening in real time. So the inside sales agent is going to be a person who, a raw online lead comes in, and they're going to call them right away and say, hey, I saw that you were online. What are you looking for? Can we create a search for you? And basically, his goal is always to book an in-person appointment with me or one of my agents. Because that's where, if he can get us the in-person appointment, I always say from there, it's 50% or better chance that you're going to close that lead.
So, one of the things that she just meant on there is that the ISA is going to call with the proper questions. And one of the things that Bob and I talk about all the time, and I know that everybody on this call has heard it before, is your income is related directly to the quality of the questions that you ask. And
yes.
we can't overstate that at all. I know that there's a lot of sales folks out there, real estate people included, that when they do their follow-up, they're asking simple yes and no questions, and it's easy for somebody to say no, or it's easy for somebody to say, hey, I'm already working with a realtor. It's easy to wiggle out of being a lead, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the other thing that I think about with inside sales is when you have a 3% close rate, 97 of the leads that come in will be garbage. And you need to sort through those. You need someone to sift through those and find the gold for you. And for me, what I realized my preference was, I just didn't want to get hung up on anymore or have people tell me where to go and how to get there. I have enough stresses in my life. I just don't need that. So,
what was that, Bob?
I thought the Canadians were extremely polite. They'd never talk to you bad, would they?
Oh my goodness. These ones must be on the hockey teams because they've got some colorful language sometimes.
So, hey, Rachel, Michelle asked a question, which I think is a good one. It's appropriate here. What's the right way to follow up? She calls, texts, and emails within minutes. And then I let my drip campaign continue with the follow-up. So far, this has been unsuccessful. So tell her why.
So I experimented doing my own ISA for years, and I tried a bunch of different methods to get results. And ultimately, I found, even as being as A-type as I am, I always ended up dropping the ball. And so, what is the proper way? It's tough to say. I mean, yes, you're on the right track there, calling as soon as possible. I've made a life decision that I'm not leaving my kids' birthday parties to call real estate leads anymore. But if that's what you want to do, then definitely do it. What's the right mix? All three, absolutely all three. And I think if I could give you one piece of advice that I give to my agents is always try to approach leads when you have something of value to offer. Never, if at all possible, approach leads asking them for something. Can I get this from you? Can I get that from you? I always try to approach my leads saying, hey, I was looking at your search, and I noticed that you're looking in this area, so I picked my 3 favorites, and here they are. Let me know if you want to go see those anytime. So that's the best way, in my opinion, of approaching your leads, and consistency. So never forget to set a follow-up reminder for yourself to follow up. Never let this lead go. Some of them are going to be 18 months out. Some of them are going to be 12 months out, and you're going to have to contact them 6 or 7 times before they're finally ready to go. You've got to stay top of mind. And so, yeah, that's it. Does that answer the question?
And if you're bringing in 100 or more leads a month, then that's a lot of phone calls and talking.
And email, really is. Dripping on email is not going to do it, guys. People just don't read emails.
No.
Real estate agents don't read emails. So you got to do it, because at least when they see it, they remember your name. But you do have to stay in touch with them, like once a month. right? You got to be doing something where you're reaching out and touching them, whether it's, you know, text or in person. If you're not doing that, you're throwing your money away because they're 12 months away in many cases.
Absolutely. Unless you have a personal gifting for inside sales, you know, you will not be successful with online lead unless you are excellent with online leads, unless you are excellent at inside sales, or you hire a professional. If you try to do it on your own, you're just going to leave a lot of money on the table.
You know, Rachel, I'm going to throw something in here real quick along that lines. Most of the successful agents, in fact, most of the agents I know, they're really, really, really good at making friends, and that's their skill set. When it comes down to turning on the sales side, I think sometimes that flips the switch. It says, man, I don't really feel like being a salesman. I just want to make friends. And I think that's where your ISA comes in, isn't it?
Absolutely. They're the ones who end up developing relationships with these leads. They hold themselves out as your assistant. And so they make friends with these people. They get to know them. They have notes on all of them. And then they pass them to you when they're either ready for a listing appointment or ready to go and look at homes.
So do we need to talk about this slide? What if a person wanted to try managing it on their own? What tips would you give them?
It's up to you guys.
So that's
Should we go for it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So first thing I always say is, you know, it costs very little to get excellent PPC service. So consider your highest and best use of time. Is it really, do you want to make $27,000 a month? Or do you want to, you know, quit real estate and get really, really good at PPC like my husband did? If you really want to get good at it, you know, that's on you, but it's going to cost you a lot of time and a lot of money. But if you decide that, you know, I really want to try PPC, I've got some natural talent in me, I want to go for it, these are the tips that I kind of came up with. Treat it like a baby. You got to nurture the campaign. You got to watch it. You got to make the changes that you're making and then let it breathe. So make your changes and see what happens over a few days. Don't go change happy and start changing all these things so that you can never isolate what's doing well and what's not doing well. So make the changes, watch it, and then make changes according to what you've been able to observe. One of the big
last 30 minutes. Shouldn't I change it?
Right? See, that's why my husband runs it, because I would change it.
Well, you know, let me jump in here real quick. One of the things that I've noticed in teaching Facebook ads and in the little bit of Google ads training I've done, as well as Instagram, is that most agents, in fact, most people, most advertisers, if the campaign doesn't jump off the rocks right away and start bringing in things or looks a little bit funky, they don't have patience. They just flip it off and say it doesn't work.
That's right. That's right. And I'd say you've got to give it some time. You've got to see that those numbers are going down. If they keep going up, you know, it's definitely cause for concern, but definitely watch to make sure that the numbers are going down and test your quality. See how these leads are doing. Watch your close rates. You know, how is this coming out? How is this looking on the front end? Are you actually closing sales? You need keywords that target intentionality, and that is the people who are closer to the beginning of your pipeline, who want to buy or sell a home soon, very soon. So your keywords are going to be you're going to be looking for keywords that have intentionality. A big breakthrough for us. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we're going to talk about that here in just a second, as far as the difference between Facebook and Google PPC.
Okay. So a big breakthrough for us was low-cost peripheral targeting. So when we were with the big box companies, you know, we'd send in our sheets of communities, and I don't know what they would do with them, but I don't think it was anything very nuanced. But what we tried to do is encourage you to think about low-cost peripheral communities. And so I'll explain to you what that is in terms of my market here in Calgary. So in my market here in Calgary, I like to work in Auburn Bay. It's the area I live. It's a newer community. It's a lake community. It is a dream to work in. But it's a younger community, and so I tend to compete with younger realtors. Younger realtors tend to be online doing the same thing I'm doing. They're doing PPC, they're doing SEO, they tend to have smart websites. So there's high competition here, both online and for the actual PPC leads, and also in the follow-up. There's other agents, like when people register on multiple sites, there's other agents that know what they're doing and they call them right away, just like I do. So it's high competition all the way through, and the leads are expensive to work here. Now, I still like working here, and I want to create a presence here, so I still target these leads a little bit. But if I drive 10 minutes over to Acadia, this is an older community built in the 1950s. The guys who dominate that community are, and it is guys, it's an old boys club, and they're much older. None of them, are running very significant internet stuff, so the leads are cheaper. And I don't have much competition if people register on multiple sites. These older guys have no idea what to do with a web lead. And so it ends up being easier for me to close that lead. Now, the homes in Auburn Bay average around 500,000. The homes in Acadia average around 500,000. I'm going to get the same paycheck no matter where I work. It's just a 10-minute drive to go from one to the other. And so instead of picking my favorite communities, which most PPC people would tell me is go ahead and pick where you want to work. We tell you, yes, give us, where you want to work, but let's also talk about, let's think outside the box, and let's talk about where you could work in the same or higher paycheck, and there's less competition both for keywords and for actual closing. So we tend to, if you're going to do your own PPC, look for those low-cost peripheral communities that are maybe potentially outside your box but have a lower cost per lead.
So I got to say here, if you take one thing off of this call today, that is solid gold right there. I've been doing ads a long, long time, and you guys, if there's one thing you pull from this today, that's it.
Thanks. Okay, so last couple points there. Keyword research. It takes a long time to drill into these communities and start to figure out what people would Google with intentionality. Take your time. Our keyword tree that we have for Vanderveen team he's got over 900 keywords that he's been working on. And, we get pretty close with the clients that we work with as well. He's constantly adding more. He's watching, he's pruning, he's growing. So keep researching, stay on top of the keywords. Landing pages have to be compelling and relevant. And I'm going to tell you probably another great piece of advice, IDX pages, IDX snippets that lead to actual listings are your best bet every time. And so these are the ones that tend to convert. So you want to be working with a good web provider. You want to be working with one of the higher end sources, and that's going to be your very best. Obviously, is going to be Conversion or KV Core. Second to that, but definitely more expensive and not as good for many different reasons, would be something like Real Estate Webmasters. And then potentially you can do Real Geeks. There's other things as well. Again, lots of, the best overall is going to be your KV Core and your Conversion.
Awesome. Yeah, and we see the same thing when we're working Facebook ads, is that your landing pages they must be relevant to what your ad is. And especially with Google, because they've got something called a relevancy score that, they track that, and they can tell if people are bouncing off of your landing pages, and if your ad is sending them to a landing page that isn't as relevant as you might think it is, then your costs do what, Rachel? They go through the roof, right?
Absolutely.
And your leads do what? They go down.
Tell them the football parking lot.
Oh, yeah. Hey, in fact, I don't know if we told you this one, Rachel, but a few years ago, we were doing a live Facebook ads training, and we had, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 agents up in Phoenix who flew to Phoenix for the training. And one of the guys followed all our directions perfectly, but his ads just were not converting. And so we took a deep, dark look into what he was doing. The ad was beautiful. The ad was gorgeous. The ad had great numbers, great click-through rates, everything. But the landing page didn't convert. So what he did is he was working out in New Jersey somewhere trying to sell a specific home. But what he put up there was the picture of a high school football parking lot on the landing page. So when you click through it, guess what? That people thought they were in the wrong spot. And the same thing happens with Google, right?
Absolutely. That's a great example.
So let's move on to this next slide here real quick, and I'm going to let you kind of walk through this. So what are your choices?
Yeah, so I was just telling the guys this. In Canada, we don't have Zillow. Our real estate boards have already teamed up, and so Zillow can't really get a foothold here. What I do understand with Zillow, especially from the guys filling me in, is that they're kind of stealing out of your pocket from the back door, and so they're just somebody you don't want to support anyways. What I understand is, we have clients that come to us from Zillow and say, well, I've done Zillow leads, I'm burned on them, they never work out. You get very few leads. The last gal I talked to said she got 14 leads for $750. And none of them worked out. And so that's an insane cost per lead. And also, it sounds like in order to get those 14 leads, you kind of have to sell your soul. So it's certainly not one that I would recommend. Bold leads, again, super high cost per lead. I personally haven't seen them convert as well as other options. Out of the box leads is where I have.
Let me just jump in real quick. For those EXP agents on the call, just know that the EXP Zillow site, if you will, the Zillow competitor site, is now launched. So EXP is launching something to compete with Zillow. The truth is, so is Gary Keller. And in my opinion, I think that's a really, really powerful thing. I mean, trust me, I wish Gary Keller well, because you guys all know how I feel about Zillow, right? So if Gary launches his, ours is already launched, and we have some competition. Now, obviously, those leads would go to EXP agents only, but just so you know, that is now launched.
That's amazing news. That makes me happy.
Yeah, that was one of the surprises we were going to share with you this morning.
That's a good surprise. Okay, so out of the box options is where I have the most experience. So, yeah, these ones are all super high cost per lead, and they claim that they're free. They claim that they don't charge you to manage your account. It's just that their leads cost a huge amount. So for me, when I did the conversion leads and just bought, I think there was a little cart, and you could just, there you go, click it, buy the Google PPC leads. They had me at $29 a lead. So $29 a lead, if you're going to get 100 leads a month, that's $2,900 per month. And their quality was way off. I was not even allowed to talk to my PPC specialist because I use the term specialist really loosely. So these ones I'm pretty sure they're skimming off the top. $29 a lead is pretty, you have to try hard to do that badly. So yeah, I don't recommend any of those. Learn how to do Facebook. I think that there's some value in that. I know that, it's very possible to learn how to do retargeting, to learn how to target certain people. But again, it comes back to highest and best use of time. Is that how you want to spend your time, or do you want to be out showing and selling? And same with PPC. If you're like my husband and you feel like you just have a gifting for this, I mean, absolutely go for it. But it took us probably almost a year to perfect ours, and tens of thousands of dollars of totally wasted money, running campaigns that didn't work. So that I always invite you to try.
And I do believe that Facebook and Google PPC work well together because they do target slightly differently. So let's talk about this real quick. What in your mind, in reality, what's the difference between Facebook ads or Facebook leads and Google pay-per-click leads or pay-per-click ads?
So the big difference for me is quality and close time. We tend to see that Facebook leads are often harder to qualify up front, and so you have to work with them with their credit and these types of things. So it can take longer for them to close, 6 to 18 months. However, they're cheaper. So that makes them still valuable to me. Paul, I know you're developing a new system about targeting certain, people groups like nurses and whatnot, and I love that. I want to know more about that for sure. So Facebook leads to me are valuable, and you should sprinkle those in your pipeline. Those should be sprinkled in there towards the end with an increasing look at increasing quality, which is what we're always looking for in Facebook ads when we run ours, is how can we get the quality up? Because here's the thing, your inside sales agent is charging you per lead. So do you want to give your ISA specialist high quality leads or low quality leads? You can give them 400 leads that are not of good quality, but you're going to pay for him to ISA every one of those, even the ones who were like, I just saw a house and it looked super pretty, so I clicked on it. you're going to expect some of those, but you're going to get a little more of those on Facebook. That's why they are, Facebook, I recommend to use in combination with Google, because you are, in our case, we're paying inside sales. In your case, if you're trying to call these all yourself, again, you want a number of leads that is you're going to see the quality. Google, I see, we tend to see a close rate of between 1 to 12 months. They're a little bit more expensive on the, on the very, very low end. We've seen them at $7 a lead. And on the high end, in the most competitive markets, we're around that $20 a lead mark. So that's the difference. But
so
again,
I got to throw this out here too. Sorry to interrupt, but you just said between $7 and $20. Guys, how many times would you spend $20 to make 9,000?
Right?
That number, I mean, you said that right now. It just like flashed in my mind. It's like, oh my gosh, put $20 in, get $9,000 out. Well, it doesn't work exactly like that, of course. You have to do it several times, right?
Exactly. But what it does is creates a system where you can expect an outcome, which is, it's to me, I'm not aware of any other system in real estate where you can have an expected outcome.
Right. In that's very, very important. I mean, when we do webinars, Bob and I know exactly how much we spend, how much we're going to earn per registrant and everything. So it's no different with Google pay-per-click. You know your numbers, and it's going to be consistent. You know that if you put this much in, that you're going to get this much out, right?
That's right. That's right.
Let me throw in my 2 cents on the difference between Google leads and Facebook leads. With Google, if you think about it, those are buyer-centric, and I don't mean buyer versus seller. I mean they're ready to. It's closer to action taking because they have already begun the research phase, and they're going to be anywhere between research to ready to go. And
that's right.
So, in other words, your job is to raise your hand and say, "Hey, I know something about this. Click my link, and I'll tell you more." Facebook, on the other hand, is you are trying to start a conversation. So in Google, you're interrupting a conversation that's already going on about the home buying or home selling process. In Facebook, you've got to go, hey, guess what? You might be interested in this. So it's a completely different animal. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, the Google leads tend to be a little bit further down the sales funnel. Facebook tends to be a little bit higher. So in my mind, you kind of got to use them both, right?
I agree. The blend of both of them is what gets our cost per lead down, and that is our singular focus: low cost per lead, high quality.
Perfect. Okay, so let's move on. Can an agent set up and run Google ads themselves?
They totally can. My husband did. He just had to stop being an agent. So you can do the research, especially if you're gifted. You can. It's very possible to do the research, to do what you need to do, and to run tests. I think that you need to. We had our own website, and we had a team of agents as well to test it on, to make sure that it was quality. But it is very possible. There could be even people as gifted or more gifted than my husband out there. You can do this.
So I guess it comes down to what's the best and highest use of your time. Bob, who's that guy that does a lot of the sales training for EXP? He was down at the event that Pat held, and the one down there in Houston, Jesse something. Do you remember who I'm talking about? What's that?
Jesse Bowden?
I can't remember, but one of the things that he's very, very big on is make sure that you understand what is the highest and best use of your time for you to get paid. And I think that's where not doing it yourself comes in handy. Yeah, and I guess that's all I need to say there. So
I just saw an audience question here. Maybe I'm late to the game, but it says, I missed the beginning. What is a PPC, please? Oh, and someone put it's Google pay-per-click. Okay, good. It was answered.
Oh, here's somebody who says, I've already got Rachel running set up, and it is just getting ready for lunch. Awesome. So let's move on. And the next thing is, what can an ISA do to help agents get more closings? I think we kind of hit on this a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is just having someone whose sole purpose it is to get leads closed, to get leads to do an in-person appointment. This person specializes in that one small task. And really, again, that comes back to highest and best use of your time. Do you want to be a jack of all trades? Do you want to specialize in everything? Or do you just want to show and sell or list and sell and spend time with your kids? Because that's what we decided we wanted to do.
So, one of the things that, we've never used an ISA before. It's always been, okay, we get on the phone call, make these phone calls. But the reality is that our team here is bringing in several hundred leads a month. And we're at the point now where we cannot we cannot keep up. So that's why I think an ISA with Google Ads is going to be a really, really important thing for us.
I think so too. And I mean, if you're a busy agent and you're already busy and you think, I don't even know if I have time to onboard these leads. Well, what you need to do is hire another agent and take 50% of their paycheck and give them these ISA leads to work with. Or hire 2 agents, and that equals 1 agent, one of you, to double your income. So give them these leads that are fully ISA'd. It is so easy to, very few agents, at least in my market, offer fully ISA leads. In fact, I'm not aware of a single one that offers fully ISA leads except me. It is so easy for me to recruit. It is so easy for me to say, hey, all you have to do is get in your car and drive and meet people and show houses and write deals. That's it. You don't have to call people. You don't have to harass people. You don't have to get hung up on. You don't have to show up to stuff that doesn't end up generally panning out. It's the easiest ever. It is incredibly easy to recruit when you're offering that.
So that is solid gold nugget right there, number 2. So we need to make a list of solid gold nuggets. And honestly, Rachel, I think that could be a whole entire class that we can put on right there. How to use an ISA to build a team and really charge 50% of that income as a referral fee.
Absolutely.
I love that. So now, we've already talked about conversion and some other things. In this next slide just says, what lead capture and CRM system will you need?
So, like I said, I'm Dutch, so my bottom line's big to me. And so, yeah, you can go with other ones besides conversion. But, I know for a fact that Real Estate Webmasters is going to charge you at least $500 per month, and they're going to charge you for every single upgrade that you do. So potentially tens of thousands of dollars more. You're going to see the same thing with, Real Geeks. You're going to pay a huge amount per month. Conversion, if you buy it on your own, what is it now, Paul, if you buy it on your own?
Well, if you buy conversion on your own, they have a $1,500 setup fee, and it's $598 a month. Now, we've got a way to get around that. So if you're curious how you can get it for $50 a month, just message me after this, and we'll get you hooked up, or we'll talk to you about that.
And I mean, that's the thing. It's about getting costs down to increase your ROI. I mean, go for the $50 a month option, because this is just a tool. People, I think, sometimes misunderstand the purpose of a real estate online website. They sometimes, use it as an online brochure. Well, no, this is a machine, and you just need this machine to crank out leads. It doesn't need to be beautiful. I fell into that trap with Real Estate Webmasters. I paid tens of thousands of dollars over the years making it beautiful, and then having to pay a whole bunch more every time that a new upgrade came out, and they forced you to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get to the newest system. So there's functionality in the back of KV Core and Conversion that is really second to none. The ability, that they have to look up all kinds of different stuff on the leads that comes through, but also, our ISA connects directly with them and integrates directly with them. They're one of the most open systems to working with outsiders and they work very nicely with our ISAs. So, and the hashtagging and the the ability to have I forget what the exact word they use, but there's a smart thing where they know exactly what sort of listings to automatically send this person based on what they were looking for. It's just not available in any other products, and you're going to pay if you don't use Paul's system, you're going to pay the same amount of cost most providers. And conversion will give you about 100% more than all the rest of the competition. So I really strongly, with all my heart, recommend conversion. Again, if you close one more sale because you used conversion, it's worth it right there.
So, Bob and I talk a lot about EXP. We are EXP. And so one of the things that when we were talking with Rachel about was having an exclusivity for people who are EXP agents, but let me ask you this, and we talked about this morning. Does an agent need to be with EXP to work with you, or use your Google pay-per-click system?
No, not at all. You can be with any brokerage, but here's the thing. This, what we have set up here is really geared for people, is for agents who want to make other agents. Like, it's an entire system that's based on creating teams easily underneath you, so that you basically attract people to you, so they ask you, can I be on your team? So you can interview people and pick the best one. You don't have to be with the EXP. Absolutely not. You don't need to be. But if you're not with EXP, you're leaving a ton of money on the table, just because of the way the system works. And what I love about online real estate leads is I don't work with them anymore. I have leads. I have agents now that work with the online leads. I have now past clients. I worked with online real estate leads for years. And I'm done. I've created a massive past client base, and now I have fantastic business behind me. A lot of it is upgrade business and new listings business. And so now I have agents that close my online real estate leads, and those agents will soon be ready to hire other agents underneath them as I send them out to do their own business. And so, I'm going to have EXP income as well that's going to be coming in as an extra source of revenue. So you don't have to be with EXP, but it's really worth it to at least ask questions of what it would be like.
And full disclosure, our people get first priority in specific markets. We don't overload lots of markets so that it's just about the money. So just full disclosure.
That's a real good question too. Let me. There's two other things that I want to hit up here real quick before we move to the next slide. One of them is, previously we talked about the KV core and conversion. Now, I spoke with Mike, the ISA, or the guy that owns the ISA company that you work with, and I was asking him, okay, so if I put 100 people into your system right now, how are you going to be able to handle logging into all those conversion websites or KV core websites and manage everything? And he gave me a really awesome answer I didn't even expect. He says that what they did is they worked with the developers of KV core and conversion, also known as Inside Real Estate, to develop their own version of a dashboard that works via API, so they never, ever, ever even log into your system. How cool is that? It's all done directly through a third-party dashboard, and everything is tracked. They could work on several agents' deals at a time, and nothing gets scattered or lost. It's just amazing. It's all done via API. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to ask you real quick too, I don't know. Did you sound like you were going to chime in on there? Did you have something to add on that? No? Okay.
I just wanted to add one last thing, which is if you are not doing the amount of business that you can do through our system or through online leads, you may not hit that icon status. But when you have this many people coming through, and I'm speaking specifically to, I suppose some of the EXP agents that are on here, this is going to get you to icon if you invest properly in it, and you're going to receive your I'm not allowed to. What are they called, guys? It's not your desk fees. You get your $16,000 back in the form of stocks. And so that's the last thing where it's like, this is, if you invest and you use the system right, it's a pretty near guarantee that you're going to hit that icon status, no problem.
Yeah, and I think that we definitely need to put together a class on how to grow your organization, your team, using this system too. In just listening to this whole presentation, I'm going, holy cow, that could be amazing. So I guess that's all I've got for this. So if somebody wants to learn more about you or work with you, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so just go on the Calendly, book an appointment, and I will chat with you directly.
In fact, we made it really right here. Go to leadgeneration.labs/Rachel. And it'll take your calendar.
Perfect. And then, schedule a consult and we can talk through your specific situation.
So any questions that we've got here from anybody? What is a good blend of Google ads and Facebook ads? For example, should it be 70% Google, 30% Facebook?
So that's a really good question. Everything goes down to how many leads, what's your total budget, right? and how many leads do you want to bring in the door, and are you supporting other agents, and do you have an inside sales agent? So I would have to look at your specific set of circumstances, because if you have an inside sales agent, I would put, probably, you're right, around 30% Facebook leads. If you don't have an inside sales agent, I think I would probably be inclined to put Facebook leads a little bit lower, just because I want you have a higher chance of closing the Google PPC leads quickly, whereas you're really going to have to stay on top of the Facebook leads, and so I would tend to drop those a little lower.
Perfect. And so, Connor, my answer for that would be I would set up a call with Rachel. It's free, and you can just click her calendar and see what'll work for you.
Yep.
And then what else do we have here? What are the IDX sites you use?
So I'm currently using REW because I'm still in a contract. And I will be switching very soon to Conversion. Almost all of my clients have Conversion. I think I have one or two that are not on Conversion, but almost all of them are on Conversion or KV Core.
Perfect. JC says, yes, that would be an awesome class on how to build your team. Thank you, JC. I think we're going to have to put that one together, Rachel.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. That's my favorite topic. That one gets me excited.
I think we could sell that for $500 too. What do you think, JC?
No, I like
it. Yes, I love it.
Or if you're in Phoenix, you can come next week.
Oh, hey, that's a good question. By a show of hand, how many of you folks are going to be in or around the Phoenix area on Tuesday? I know we've got a lot of Phoenix people, or not a lot on the call, but I do see a few names that are from Phoenix. If you're going to be in here, come see us. I'm going to put together a little flyer. You'll probably see an ad on Facebook if you are here in Phoenix. Otherwise, you will see an event that pops up on the Real Estate Listing Machine Facebook page showing the information on our event. It's unannounced. We haven't told anybody about it yet, but we are doing a live show in Phoenix, and Rachel is going to be the star of the show. And it includes lunch too, by the way.
The motorhome is on the driveway being packed as we speak by an army of small children.
How many children?
7.
Oh my gosh. And you did how much home sales volumes last year?
So 24 million. That was a bad year though. I did 31 million the year before. The oil crashed here, and Alberta is the Texas of Canada. So oil crashed, and I had dropped down to 24 million.
Oh, we just got a comment. It says Rachel is awesome.
Aw, thanks.
Oh, here's a really good question, Paul. Hey, thanks for asking that. And by the way, your name is Paul, so I know that you are very, very trustworthy and probably one of the best agents in your brokerage. It's got to be true. Paul says, what percentage of Google pay-per-click leads are seller versus buyer? I am primarily a lister. Now, I already know your answer to this, and it's kind of a progressive answer, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so they are definitely buyer-centric. I would say you probably have 60 to 70% buyer, and the rest is listing. So here's the thing. Buyers are eventually sellers. And in a market like mine right now, buyers are gold. I'm so glad. I'm turning down listings. I'm like, no, thanks. I don't want the risk. Nothing's selling right now. So buyers are gold because they usually, you're going to be able to sell them. Listings are, they're a toss-up. You don't know if they're going to go or not, right? So now, listen, I don't want to turn you off of being a lister. I mean, I do a lot of listings myself, but this is really good. If you're a lister, this is going to be amazing for you to potentially hire a buyer's agent. When I originally started, I hired a buyer's agent to take them, but I took all the listings. So, and even if she would get something called, we call it a buy sell or a project where they're both buying and selling, I would take the listing and they would assist with the purchase. So you can run it like that as well.
Perfect. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking is when we were talking the other day, kind of what I pulled out of it and was explaining to my wife is that over time, those people, even if they're buyers and they come in, they turn into sellers every couple of years, right?
That's right. That's right. And it's all about, online leads is just the doorway. It is not your career. I can't wait till we do that class so that I can kind of show you that within 10 years, you're not going to be taking these leads anymore. You're going to have built such a strong business behind you that you're going to hire people to take these leads underneath you. And so you'll have, if you follow this system and you invest in this, 5-6 years from now, you will not be able to handle all of the business, including your past client business. You will not be able to handle it all. You will be forced to hire someone.
And I love what you just said about the about that class. And one of the things that I don't know if you guys heard this, but she said 10 years. When I first started talking to Rachel, we were talking about the pay-per-clicks, we were talking about different advertising and how to grow a business. And then yesterday when I was talking to her, she was showing me a very, very detailed 10-year growth plan on how to grow your business through Google pay-per-click. And I got to tell you what, guys, I was completely blown away. And that's why when we're talking about this building your business class, I know that would be a killer.
Yeah, I'm into it. We need to do it.
So guys, any more questions here? Any more questions? Cost is what? Cost is what?
You know what? I wish I could just give you here it is. Unfortunately, I got to get into your business. I need to know what you want to close. I need to know how many. It's all dependent on the number of leads that come through. And that's all dependent on what your budget is. So unfortunately, you're going to have to talk to me on the phone. Sorry. But I'll tell you this much. A friggin' lot less than what you're going to get with any of the big box companies. Our main goal was getting costs down. Our main goal was let's shave money off cost per lead. So a lot less than what you're going to pay anywhere else, and far higher quality, which means you're going to close a lot more. So overall, listen, there weren't people like us out there. They weren't out there. That's how we knew we had a job. You will not be able to beat our cost and quality unless you find someone that I've never heard of before. And I went looking.
Hey, and let me throw something else out there too, guys. A lot of times when Bob and I will bring on a third party and really promote them to our list, we are earning an affiliate fee. On this product, we're not taking anything. It was our discussions that we wanted to make sure and pass the savings on to you guys. And also, we believe in Rachel's product so much that we only wanted to make sure that we gave it to our best people. So there you have it.
This is a true story.
David says he's ready to go. Well, David, click on the link. leadgenerationlabs.com/Rachel. And then schedule your time. I like that you're Dutch because I know that you're cheap.
Yes, my grandpa always said, he always asked if I knew how copper wire was invented. And he said it was two Dutchmen fighting over a penny.
All right, so David says he's already clicked. John says he's signed up to talk to you tomorrow at 11. All right, we got some people that are going to be calling you or you talking with, so that's cool. Any other questions, guys?
Cool.
Rachel, is there anything you want to add? Bob, anything you want to add?
Oh, I think we're good to go.
I think we're good.
So if there's no more questions, and this happens every time, we start the 10-second countdown, and then here comes a rack of questions. We still have all but 4 people on the call. So Bob says thank you. Looks like Dick just laughed and left, so that's good. Okay, so guys, I'm going to go 5, 4.